Live. We are. Okay.
Awesome.
This is the CHRILLCAST Live. I am Chris.
And I'm Will.
And I'm Ian.
And if you guys don't recognize Ian, he's from what channel?
Halo Canon.
And what is that all about? Whoops. Wrong one. There we go. What is that all about?
Well, if you don't know what canon is, basically just a word for lore or mythology. And essentially I cover all the lore of Halo. Sometimes specific topics like the Battle of Reach right there, or sometimes whatever might be of interest to me. Like, does Halo kill the Flood? You know, I still see questions like about that, like at least once a month sometimes.
Yeah, the whole process doesn't make any sense to me. Even after watching your videos and reading up on it, like I still don't get it.
It basically kills anything other than flood spores and tiny little stuff. But I hate myself. I did not talk about Halo Wars 2 in that video, and I really should have. But I wanted to get some time.
We are not actually here to talk about Halo. What are we here to talk about?
Wait, what?
What are we here to talk about? We're here to talk
Bionicle.
Exactly. Bionicle. One of my favorite toys growing up, toys, collectibles, whatever you want to call them. One of my favorites.
Yes.
Like they were so intricate for a Lego design. And my first question for you is, what led to what? Were you a Halo fan or a Bionicle fan first? And did they intersect and or lead to each other?
Bionicle fan first, because I got into those back in 2001 when they first released over here. And I didn't even hear about Halo until the summer of 2004, actually. I stumbled across the trailer for Halo 2, and that's how that happened. So there wasn't a direct connection, but my interest in even up to Bionicle, like Bionicle kind of was the first series where I got heavy into the lore, or it was the first like series where I'm trying to think of how to best phrase this, because I've always been kind of like a lore and story guy my entire life. My dad was a big nerd. He got me into Star Trek, got me into Star Wars, tons of comics, and I was always obsessed with the story. But Bionicle was the first thing that was like not derivative from my parents' interests in some manner. It was like it was the first thing I remember being mine, so to speak. And that definitely got me even more interested in mythology and storytelling and all that kind of stuff. So in that regard, it definitely led to my heavy interest in the story of Halo.
Very cool.
And as far as that goes, so you said you got into Bionicle right at 2001 when it first came out. How did you first find out about Bionicle? Was it through a Lego magazine? Because that's like what I remember looking at as a more of a kid in 2001.
Yeah, that's honestly something that's something I honestly don't remember where my first view of them was. I know I was getting those sets back in late 2001 or early 2002, but it might have been in a Lego, but I'd been into Lego. That was another thing. Lego was something me and my dad did a lot of when I was a kid. Every like once a month maybe, or every Saturday or something, we'd go over to Toys R Us and like buy some new set, or it probably wasn't every Saturday, but often enough we'd buy a new set or just buy bricks. So it may have just been that I saw them on the shelf for all I know, but
yeah, that's true. I remember seeing these types of items on the shelf with the Legos, and I was just blown away by the artwork, that the amount of time and detail that went into these pictures. Like it looked like it came from a movie, when in fact I don't believe the movie came out till much later.
Yeah, 2003. At the time, all we had were the web animations, which are still gorgeous. Ghost over in Copenhagen produced those, and they look great. But like one of the coolest things about Bionicle is just that like it comes in those canisters, and it came in a lot of the heroes or villains would come in unique packaging, and a lot of that packaging was actually like relevant to the story. They were like extra storytelling tools and toys. Like the canisters are the canisters that the Toa arrive in the initial story, and then you can take the lids off, and those you can put all the because you could collect all the different masks, and there were packs that actually came with heads to display those masks on that you could plug into each or like into holes on the top of the lid. So it was this very intricate toy set, very ingenious, like making maximum use of all their assets.
Oh, absolutely. I always found that so cool. And if I remember correctly, the little enemy guys almost look like the fighters in Star Wars, what are those called? The droids that curl up into a ball.
Oh yeah, the Bo-Rock. That was the second series of villains from 2002.
Right. I had
and
like
also 2003 early on. Said the Bo-Rock calls. Like, okay, guys, we got to buy time for the fall wave. We're just gonna reskin the Bo-Rock and put them out there again. It was a good story, but set wise, I can more than understand why people were upset.
Yeah, I had at least 3 of the Toa, at least 3 of these guys.
Well, now I'm looking at this, I realize I had almost all of these characters, and I did not realize at the time that there was like this whole backstory and like villains and stuff. So I would get these for like birthday gifts, or like my friends were in it, so my mom would talk to their mom and like, oh yeah, my kid's really into this, you should get this for your kid. So my mom would just show up with these toys and like, I don't know what this is, but it's cool, it looks like a knight.
I remember the very first set I ever got was Toa Anua, the black one. I don't know why it sticks out of my mind, but I got him, and I think I got Pohatu was the brown guy as the second one. Eventually, though, I did get them all.
So he was your first one?
That was my first.
Okay.
Yeah.
And he was your second?
I'm pretty sure, yeah. If not at the same time, then he was the second one I bought whenever I bought a second one.
The thing I find so interesting about Bionicle from a business standpoint is like at the time that Lego was coming up with this, they had like a financial crisis going on.
Yeah.
So like Lego was trying to very desperately build an IP behind the scenes that they could use without having to license something, because I don't think they were known for licensing other than maybe Star Wars prior to this.
Yeah, Star Wars, from what I if I remember all the meta lore here correctly, like Star Wars was actually the franchise that saved Lego from that financial crisis, but it was still like, we're not quite making as much money as we would like, or as much money as we need, and they did a couple things, and then eventually Bionicle landed and blew up in popularity.
And funny story, actually Disney is ending one of, I think it's the biggest Lego Star Wars video game right now. They're in the process of killing it by July 1st is what I understand. There's like an online Lego Star Wars game that's getting discontinued, but it doesn't have anything to do with Bionicle, but I did find that interesting.
Yeah. It's tangential, it's Lego.
Yeah.
Only 2 degrees of separation.
Yeah,
Lego was really experimenting when they came out with Bionicles. I mean, think about it. Lego action figures is essentially what they were going for, which is the second thing they try to do is Galador, which really never took off. Like it had a TV series to go with it, and it was never had a chance. But I actually loved Galador personally.
It definitely had its fan base.
I mean, I was at the right age to like it. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
But Bionicles were definitely always, in my opinion, cooler than even Galador, despite Galador being a kind of a different niche than Bionicle is.
I guess in your opinion, why do you think Bionicle blew up the way it did?
Oh God,
That's a good question.
It really is. Like part of it, it's got to be so many factors. There's a good channel called The Three Virtues, or TTV, that have like kind of done an analysis of this, but like part of it's just they look really cool. It's like, oh, check out these cool robot guy. Oh yeah, Three Virtues is going to bring. So the Three Virtues are an actual thing within the Bionicle lore.
Oh,
so,
right.
Oh yeah,
I meant to type in YouTube and I've missed the word YouTube. There it is.
So the TTV channel. There you go. Great guys.
I realized when I was typing it that I didn't type in YouTube, and then you got a whole bunch of other stuff.
Yeah. The whole Three Virtues are huge bit of lore, but anyway, it's like you get these cool looking robots that's going to attract a lot of kids, especially once you you pair those with the commercials that they had at the time. I was talking about.
Well, they were so good.
Yeah, exactly. Like, so it's this good combination of really good visuals, really good design, and of course, just the Lego brand name would have its own like built-in audience to appeal to people.
Oh, did you guys see this comment? Look at this. Yeah. The head guy of Bionicle
Yeah,
was sick.
So
with
it
a brain
was
tumor.
Chris Faber, I think his name was, and yeah,
Wow.
thought of as bills as the canisters containing the TOA, and fought. That's why it's called Bionicle, Biological Chronicle.
That's really cool.
That makes so much sense.
Yeah.
I actually didn't know that. That's good.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
And that's why it's called Bionicle, both singular and plural, not Bionicles. Oh my God.
I know I've tweeted out plural before, but that's because autocorrect just does that to people.
Everybody, and it's basically a meme in parts of the Bionicle community. The whole like, well, actually, kind of thing. It's like, yes. I like to jokingly give people shit for it in the community when I see that, like if the Biomedia Project or TTV people tweet it out, sometimes I'll just jump in and say, actually, it's Bionicle, not Bionicles. Ugh.
Imagine being Lego and seeing Minecraft come out, though. Like, can you imagine the distraught that they would have, like thinking, how did we never think of this?
Yeah. But now they're a Lego Minecraft.
Yes. Yes, they've gotten.
They got that license. So at the very least, like, we can't make it our own, but we're not going to go the Netflix blockbuster route. We're jumping into this head first.
Right. Might as well at that point. I mean, Halo's in Minecraft, and I see this guy TTV is doing a Bionicles in Minecraft thing, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, they did that. I never
Bionicle in Minecraft. Oh my gosh! Yeah. Literally, just correct me, please. I need it now.
It's a joke. It's a joke. And it's like, it's only known because like I think like the copyright that Lego, or not the copyright, the trademark or something that they filed, for the legal filing specifies that, and some fan figured that out. I don't know remember all the details.
Right. Yeah. So then, as far as Bionicle goes, after the first movie came out, were you like me and you were like, I want the golden Toa? Because that's where I went as soon as that movie came out.
Oh, honestly, by mid 2002, really. So a year before the movie, I was hardcore into everything Bionicle, getting everything. So by that time, I already had Takanuva, the golden Toa, with his Usanui vehicle, and Takua with the Usul crab, and Jala with the Mako bird. Yeah. So Takua was the character who became Takanuva, the golden Toa, the Toa of light.
Oh yeah, because the McDonald's Bionicles too. Remember that?
Yes.
I had
funny
all
thing
of
about
them.
that. Yeah, I had them all too. My mom's company that she's retired now, but the company she worked for basically worked very closely with McDonald's on a lot of their marketing and stuff. So when I was a kid, we used to get all the toys for free. And because my sister was completely uninterested in Bionicle, yeah, give them all to me, baby. So I got all of those very quick, very easy. Also made the Beanie Baby craze very simple too.
Oh,
she got all of those back when then.
Furbies, they had the Furby ones in the McDonald's Happy Meals.
I don't remember that one, but
they were like little plushies, weren't they? Like
no, they're plastic, and they would have like one action, so you like push the nail, and their lights, their eyes would flicker.
Yeah, depending on what the time and when that we might have gotten those or been offered them. Because eventually the company stopped doing that, but luckily not before I got all the Bionicle sets.
Yes,
that they did.
I thought it was so odd because wasn't that the only way to get the like this figure Takua? Wasn't it the only way to get him?
So I believe that one is that's a fan render of what he would have looked like in that form.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, there was the first Takua figure was in 2003 paired with the
one?
Usul or so. So that's if you see any of those with like Takua with the small, they're called Mictorin in the community. Usually every form of Matoran has a fun little nickname, so you can refer to them easily. But those are all fan renders. I think is the proper the set. I always get thrown off because the set gave him blue legs for some reason, but we'd always known him with yellow legs up to that point, so it still throws me off.
Lego didn't always match their own multimedia presentation of anything.
Yeah.
They've never been perfect at it. They're a lot better now, I think.
Yeah.
But back then, I remember
that's a result of these. Yeah, because it was very jarring for a lot of fans.
I do remember seeing the movie and thinking like something's off here.
Yeah. I personally loved it, and there was definitely an audience for that stuff, but yeah, it was very jarring for a lot of fans. So when Lego finally made a fourth Bionicle movie, I don't remember what year that was, but it was that must have been like 2008 or 2009.
2009 was when they discontinued it.
Yeah, so it would have been 2009 then. I can't remember right now what the name of that movie was, but basically by then the characters were just animated versions of the toys.
Legend Reborn was 2009.
There it is. Yep. With Michael Dorn as Matanui, the main character.
What?
Like that is the big reason I can enjoy that movie is you have Michael Dorn, Worf as Matanui.
Oh my god.
Crazy.
I know, it's amazing.
That's amazing.
Yes.
I did not realize that.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. And to be fair, I've only seen, and we were talking about this before Will got on, before we started the show. I've actually only seen Mask of Light and then Web of Shadows. I never actually saw Metru Nui, which made Web of Shadows an extremely confusing movie for me.
Yeah. And even if you had seen Metru Nui, you might have been confused, as we were talking about, because the third movie is set between like the last two scenes of Legends of Metru Nui. So
yeah. They like took the Hobbit route. They're like, let's expand this storyline beyond any comprehension we could have thought of ahead of time. It's like, let's have the extended cut and add, like, you could literally put Web of Shadows in the middle of Metru Nui and it would work.
Yeah.
Because that's where it takes place.
Yeah, that's basically how it's meant to play out. Funny thing too, the third movie is called Web of Shadows. The first, because by that time there were books coming out on the regular. The first book for the year of 2005 was called Web of the Visorak. So we had Web of Shadows and Web of the Visorak in the same year, and it was just why would you do that, guys? You knew what the third one was going to be called by now. Come on.
Maybe they just didn't talk amongst the Lego media franchises. Like maybe the books people didn't talk to the movies people.
I know for a fact that they did, because a lot of this stuff was heavily overseen, or I don't know about if overseen is the right word, but the main guy for Lego, he's right there, Greg Farsty. He was involved with like everything. He wrote the comics early on. He wrote a lot of the books and was involved with the movies. So there was a lot of, they were very good about their intermedia, like their media working together and whatnot.
I meant the marketing people who chose the title may not have discussed that.
That's true. Maybe
because it's not always the author or the writers that choose the titles.
Yeah.
So these were obviously wildly popular for a long time. Any idea why they started to fade away? And was there a new product line that took their place? Not necessarily from Lego, but for someone else?
Yeah. I think there is. Again, the TTV channel probably has I'm pretty sure they actually have a video about the downfall of Bionicle. But I think it was just again, it was one of those things where there's multiple factors. Like part of it was probably a little bit of burnout after so many years. Changing interests among the target demographic, because I think by those last years of Bionicle, a lot of the people that were still regularly buying the toys were the same people, now that they're now older, and the younger generations weren't as interested for whatever reason.
Okay.
But another part of it was definitely just because the lore had gotten so overbearing. The lore in Bionicle is great and infamous. Like whenever you ever see somebody posting about, the Halo story is so confusing. Boy, go read the Bionicle lore. Like first year, you have the comics, you have the animated, like everything is canon. The comics, the animated commercials, the video game.
Hold up, the commercials are considered canon?
Yes, the commercials are canon.
What? Yeah, I did not know that.
The commercials were actually part of the storytelling.
Oh my gosh.
There was and every bit of media told a different part of the story. So you had to get everything to get the full story. Like for example, I think it was by 2003 they finally started releasing actual books. And the first book that they released, which covered the first year of Bionicle, that covers like all the Toa origin story and basically leaves them on the doorstep of fighting the main villain of that year. And that story is told in the Matanui online game. But even that's not the full story, because then you also had the comics from 2001, but there were only 3 comics, and they don't even they tell the story of the Toa meeting up for the first time, having their first big battle, and then one of them has a vision of the future, which you only get to see fulfilled.
I had that one. I had that one.
Yeah.
That's the only one I had, I think.
And then you only get to see that story fulfilled again in the Matanui online game, which wasn't originally canon, but it was then canonized because okay, we got the story out there. We're just gonna go roll with it. But nothing tells you the complete story. You have to get everything to get part of it. It's like the book leaves out what's called the Toa Kaita, which were the combiner models for the Toa. It leaves that battle out, but then the Matanui online game leaves out the battle with the Shadow Toa, which is the Toa fight their evil selves. So it's like, okay, so at some point they fought their bad selves, and then they combined and fought giant crabs. And then they fought the main bad guy. Something like that.
I'm imagining this is like one of those Zelda timelines where you have to literally find all the multimedia. Okay, this, build it up all the way to the top.
There was a game that was preceded the Matanui online game. It was Tales of the Tohunga, which I think it might have been rebranded later because there was a whole controversy about some of the names that they were using. You might have seen that on the Wikipedia page. You were looking up the Maori language controversy. We can talk about that later. But essentially, if you wanted to get the backstory for why you started on this, you start on this beach as Takua. You don't find out his name, I think, in that game at all. But heck, you don't even get to see your character until the very end of the game.
Because it's like a first person, essentially.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Or if you're ever in third person shots, he's too far away or he's in shadow so you can't see him.
Okay. Interesting design decision.
It worked, but you wake up on this beach and you have no idea, no context for what's going on. And if you want to know why you wake up on this beach, and they make references to this NES game, Tales of the Tohunga, it's so confusing. But it worked for some reason. I don't know how, but it worked.
When it works, I guess.
Exactly.
I don't know. So I will say this. I think the only Bionicle game that I played was probably the one on the GameCube.
Yeah, that would be Bionicle, the game, most likely.
Yeah, it was just the title. Yeah. The only time I ever strayed into online Lego games, they had this online Galador game that was pretty good.
Yeah.
And it worked better than it looked better than the show, honestly. The show was I don't want to trash the show, but my goodness, the tropes on that show were so stereotypical.
So I've heard. I never got into it when it was out. So
I was so much happier watching the Bionicle movies than I ever was watching the Galador show. Oh my gosh. Will probably doesn't even know what Galador is.
Nope. No idea.
It was another attempt from Lego to make
their own IP. And the main character's name was Nick Bluetooth. So if that tells you anything.
Well, did you see some of the original names for this show or for this toy line?
Oh yes.
Oh no. I must have missed some of that.
What was it? Something heads of Voodoo Island.
Yes.
I'm trying to remember what the skull heads of Voodoo Island.
Yeah, no, I think you're right with Bonehead. It's Bonehead.
Boneheads, that was it. Yes. Yeah.
Let's see what it says.
Oh man.
I want to find this now. Character. Where would I even find this info? Oh, right here.
Yeah.
Bionites, Afterman.
Yeah.
Okay, this is on the Wikipedia. This is on the Wikipedia then.
Yeah.
All right, let's see. I'm curious now. Keep going. I'm really loving this so far. It's such a good trip down.
Boneheads of Voodoo Island is just the one that stands out the most, but that's where they got the whole concept of the masks from.
Oh yeah, what is the controversy with the language? I remember this being an issue. I just don't remember why.
Yeah. So basically, it probably gets better in there, but essentially they had used a lot of words from the Maori language, and some of those people had an issue with it. So they wrote a letter to, back in the day, everyone thought that it had gone all the way into the courts or anything, but no, it was basically all, like it says there, these Maori tribes had sent a letter to Lego and said, hey, the way some of the words you're misusing and it's kind of offensive. So can you change that? And they did. And one of those words, the most infamous one, was Tohunga. And that one was changed to Matoran at some point. And what's really interesting too is a lot of these names they had to change. They actually worked it into the lore. So,
oh really?
Yeah. So at the end of 2002 or the start of 2003, as you might have noticed when we were looking at those sets of the Matoran earlier on, like you had the ones from McDonald's which were tiny and stout, and then you had the later ones that were a bit taller and beefier. And like that's not just like different sets, like that is a canon change in form.
That's interesting.
Yeah, that kind of arose from that Maori language controversy. And so it was basically explained that after the defeat of the main villain Makuta in the first couple of years and the overcoming the Bow Rock, the Tahunga had come together as a people and then started calling themselves the Matoran to represent their new unity. And of course that became like, that was their original name that they just forgot because of all the story stuff that was happening. And then a few new characters, like in recognition of their brave deeds, got new names. And one of those was Jala. So like none of the pronunciations changed, but they all changed spellings. And so Jala went from Jala to Jaller, but it's still pronounced Jala.
That's interesting. I guess I never realized there was such a controversy there. Although I was, I was like, what, 10 at the time, so I probably wasn't looking too deep into that.
Yeah, I didn't find out about it, I think I found out about it probably like 2003 again, but only because I was so involved with, or I was very often on forums talking about this stuff with people. So,
yeah, back then, the only forums that I was looking at. Well, for one, I was on a lot of YouTube videos, not YouTube videos. What was it at the time? Miniclip or one of those Newgrounds or one of those Flash game sites, probably.
Yeah,
or like Cartoon Network had a dial up.
Oh my god.
Let's see here. The other thing that I was thinking about in regards to the name changes, didn't they change the name of the what was it? The main Toa in the new remake? Like they just flat out changed several of the Toa's names.
They didn't change they actually reused the names, but they had changed all the lore because it was.
They also changed one of the elements too, right? Like
the
jungle.
I'm trying to remember
they changed it to the jungle element. Which I mean, like if you want to change elements, that's fine. You have Toa of stone and Toa of earth. What's the difference there exactly?
Exactly. Yeah.
I thought they actually changed the name in one of the films or the show.
Maybe they did. I never I watched the first season, but I never finished it.
I'm so confused now. I remember this is like ingrained in my head. Like they changed the name of one of the Toa for some reason, and I never understood why. I could be completely.
Yeah, I honestly don't remember. I know they like the two main godlike beings for Generation 2 were like one of them was like in the first generation you had Matanui and Makuta, and then Gen 2 you had, I actually can't remember his name right now.
But it wasn't Matanui.
It wasn't Matanui, but you still had Makuta.
Which was weird. That's what I'm thinking of. Yeah, I was so confused. Because as I'm watching this thing, I just watched recently a video about that particular controversy actually, and I was very confused. It's not really controversy, but it was kind of weird that they decided to do that. It just didn't seem right.
Akimu, there it is.
Akimu, okay.
Yeah, it was Akimu. Okay. I kept
getting. Good for you, Buzzsaw.
Oh yeah, there he goes. It's funny too, is that Akimu was very much like another character, and this is the name that I had in my head, but I knew it was wrong. Artaka.
Okay.
Like he was like it. So there was it was a very similar character in terms of like he was this great mask maker and builder and famous being, but he wasn't Makuta's brother or anything.
Here's another good question then. So if somebody wants to get into Bionicle lore, where is the best place to start?
Yeah, good question.
Probably just one of the wikis at this point.
How many of the games are still playable? Like I'm assuming this
actually pretty much all of them to some degree or another. This is amazing. There is a thing called the Biomedia Project, and it's basically there to preserve all Bionicle media. And they even have a blessing from Lego to do this, but you can download like all the Bionicle games from there. They even host a recreated or like a rebuilt Bionicle 2001 game. Yeah, this is it.
Wow.
You can like I just downloaded at the start of the month the Bionicle game for myself because I have it somewhere, but it's buried. So I just went and bought and decided to download it. But yeah, you can download all of the. There it is, The Legend of Metro Nui. That one was never released, but fans got their hands on the files and brought it back and finished it. So
that's so cool.
Yeah, it's the passion among the community is unreal.
Yeah, I do remember
Mask of Destiny. I didn't know they were associated with that. Holy crap. That's a really old fan site, Mask of Destiny.
Proceed. Okay, so it says the web game sections contain Flash, Shockwave, and Unity games. These plugins are no longer supported. So that's another thing that I find it really sucks from this time period. Like even in Halo, that Warthog launcher game that's on the Halo 3 disc, you literally can't play that anywhere else except on the Halo 3 bonus disc unless you have Flash and like an older version of it and you have the Flash game essentially downloaded.
Yep.
It's like this will tell you that like a lot of these have the Flash. That's interesting that they're able to preserve them, but at the same time they present the warning like, hey, this is no longer supported software.
Yeah. So you have to download them and play them locally.
That makes sense. I think that's the safest way to access Flash nowadays anyways. So it's good that they have that warning there because I keep getting my computer keeps saying, hey, you need to delete Flash player from your computer. And I'm like, no, I'm holding on to this for nostalgia.
Yes.
But that's really cool that Lego has given them the blessing to host this site and keep it all together because
it's like
there's a lot of really passionate fans out there.
Comics on there. You can get all the old commercials. You can get all the books. There's one mega document with all the books in one. Oh my God.
That's amazing. I did not know this existed. I'm so happy now. I'm going to have to start delving through some of this stuff.
Do you think there's a time when Disney is going to abandon Star Wars and like there's going to be a fan site like this that accumulates all of the stories and movies and stuff?
Sadly, no. Star Wars, despite Disney's best efforts, will never die.
Yes.
Oh man, this is an interesting comment. What does buzzsaw mean here? Do you know?
Okay, so there's a bit of meta lore here. So back in the day, BZ Power or Bionicle Zone, as it was originally. So there was Bionicle Zone and Konoe Power, two Bionicle fan sites, and they merged to become BZ Power. And BZ Power had a very strict policy on no advertising for or even linking to any other fan sites that contain forums.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, they were very, very strict. They wanted to be the home of Bionicle discussion. And another big one back in the day was Mask of Destiny. So that's the joke. Like if you get banned from BZ Power, well, you just jump over to Mask of Destiny where they aren't quite that anal. Like I was mostly a BZ Power user. I never got onto the forums for Mask of Destiny back in the day, but it was a very good news and resource site, if nothing else. But,
that is pretty neat, though. So, if somebody was navigating this website, where would you start? Where's the best place for somebody who's not who wants to buy Bionicles are still? I don't think they're that expensive, to be honest. Let me look at eBay real quick.
Oh, we saw the complete Toa collection for like $300 when you were searching
it's not that
earlier.
bad. Yeah,
all things considered, yeah.
Considering you could get into the entire collection of Toa for relatively. Oh, that's right, complete collection Toa, and you're talking.
$152. Yeah, that's pretty good for pre-owned.
So you're not looking at like a fortune to get into.
Yeah.
Not Halo either, I guess. So both of those.
There is a dedicated Lego, generally Lego, like buying and selling website. I don't remember what it's called because I have not used it myself, but Brick something.
I think I have. I think I'm 99% sure in storage. I still have all my Bionicles actually.
Yeah.
I don't. I lost all their masks down the drain.
Like literally down the drain?
That's down the drain. That's not. Yep. I was playing with them on the sink.
Oh.
Yep.
Bricklink. There you go.
Bricklink. There it is. Yeah. I wasn't sure. Like Bricklink doesn't sound like a site that you'd buy and sell from. But yeah, Bricklink is a really good place.
It could be a place where you buy bricks for your house. You never know.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Like Bricklink, I don't know, for whatever reason, it just didn't click for me for some reason. Anyway, but yeah, a lot of people these days will actually there's a huge custom figure building scene too. Or like huge,
I saw that on r/Bionicle.
Yeah. There you go. Yeah.
Because I do follow r/Bionicle just to see those kinds of builds. I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's exactly why I like to go there.
It scratches that nostalgia itch for me.
Yep.
Because I remember going back in the day trying to put together some of my own Bionicles. And thankfully I never lost any of the pieces doing that. But I know other friends of mine would like put together Bionicles and like they put them in the canisters and then they'd forget about them. And then like the canister get thrown away by their parents. Like, oh no, I lost pieces. And I'm like,
yeah.
Oh, that's But
luckily, my dad, my mom too, to a lesser degree, they're both huge nerds, so they weren't likely to throw things out. I do remember one episode where I don't remember what I did, but my mom got pissed and she was threatening to throw out my Bionicle figures.
Oh no!
Thankfully, that didn't happen. But
that would be just devastating, I think.
Yeah, because among those was this $100 set. So they some of the sets got really up there, especially the very first year. They had a particular set, the Monas crabs that were like remote controlled. It was the only set that ever did that. Yeah,
they did.
Yeah, you look at Bionicle Monas.
I didn't even know that was a thing.
Yeah, you just build these little crabs. They could drive around and they'd.
Oh my gosh! I did not know this was a thing.
Yeah, bring it up on the screen so I can see it too.
All right, yeah, hold on. I'm doing it right now.
Yeah,
I did not know these were a thing.
Yep, there they are.
That is so cool.
If I recall, mine's. I think I'm missing a tread or two for one of them, but those are all in storage now. But funny thing about how I actually got those, I had asked one year for Christmas for. I basically just told my parents and extended family Bionicle, and I ended up getting tons of sets that I already had. So I went to all my family and said, okay, thank you very much. Can I have the receipt for this though? And
I already have this.
Yeah. So it worked out though, because through all the returns, I had enough plus with a little extra money to get the Mana set, which was like, I think it was the only set I didn't have at that time. Because it was like $150 back then.
Lego's always really expensive though. That's why I never got into it.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is some cool stuff. Just like look, I always like to when I'm looking for something, I always like to look and see what the most expensive thing is in the collection, because
and then
it's
buy
pretty
it,
much
and then talk
no,
about it.
It's pretty much the decision on me at that point is like, is the most expensive part of collecting this particular thing too high for me to get into this collecting?
And the honesty part there is that Chris has never said it's too high. Worth it. Click.
It's just like, buy it now. No.
Yes.
But I do remember begging my parents for the Bionicles, and there was a pretty big craze around the holidays every year for Bionicle. Because like my friends would all want, like, for example, let's just face it, the one that most people wanted was the red one. It was in all the artwork, it was in all the Lego magazines.
Yep.
And they're like, I want the red one. I want the red one. They don't know the names, they don't know anything about Bionicle. They want the red one. I want the red one.
Red one's cool.
It's like, okay, all right, whatever you say. But I always liked ice power. So I'd settle on, the white guy.
It's actually kind of funny.
I said that on purpose because red guy, white. Yeah, sorry.
It's kind of funny you'd say that though, because in Gen 2, Kopaka, the white guy, was usually like the big set for whatever reason. Like in 2015, he was like the biggest and most expensive of the sets, and then in 2016 he was the only, in 2016 every Toa would have an accompanying like mystical beast or something, like a secondary set, but Kopaka was actually packaged with his beast. It was interesting. They really pushed Kopaka in the second generation.
I don't know if I've
seen, or at least like they seem to.
He had the cheapest die. That's why they could charge more for it and spend less.
There it is. Yeah.
This guy right here.
Yeah, so that was from the 2016 round.
Yeah, I definitely remember the 2016 round coming out because I remember Netflix had gotten the adaptation rights, correct?
Yeah.
So I did not have Netflix, and like, believe it or not, like that was the 1 year I did not have Netflix while I was in college, and I regret to this day never watching it. So I'm like, man, maybe my support would have been that one to set them over the edge and keep the show, but you know, probably not.
I'll be honest, I still haven't seen the second season. I just had no interest in it, especially once the line was canceled by like the middle of the year.
Oh my gosh, it was that bad?
Yeah.
Oof.
I don't know what Lego was thinking, but they did not market Gen 2 at all for whatever reason. And
because they look good.
Like, yeah, they were really good sets. Like one of the things that probably, what was it? I think 2007 was the last year I bought figures, or it might have been 2006. But basically I stopped collecting the figures from the original, from Generation 1 after a little while, because they stopped focusing on the gear function and it was all about posability. And it's like, I don't want that. I want my little gear functions or whatever. And when Gen 2 came around, when Gen 2 came around, they brought back the gear functionality. I was like, okay, I already like the designs, but now you got me hooked.
I remember getting this set. I bought the original set and I bought this set. So I had these ones and I had the originals.
Mm-hmm.
The Toa.
I just had these ones.
I loved the Toa Nuva commercials. They were so great.
I also loved the silver armor that they have on them versus the original. And
back in 2001.
The masks are even cool too, I think.
Yeah, it looks like the Toa, like something was like stretching their mask across their faces. It just looked so cool.
They're more intimidating too. I think every single one got more intimidating after these.
It was the edgelord years.
Nice.
Yeah. Back when silver was acceptable, and then after this, everything was silver, and fans got very fed up with how much silver there was.
It was just enough of a change that you felt like it just felt cool.
Yes, very much.
It didn't take away from the original design, and that's another thing I like to talk about when I get into these older sets. Functions. Is like the art design was, I think, well thought at the time. And you can just see it. Like this he's skating on his blade. That's a pretty good design for a. You know, I don't know. The art design is really good. What is?
That's the
okay. I thought he was just like, "Hey, look, I made my own thing."
Yeah, no, that's the official combiner model. Yeah.
I see it now. Okay. Yeah. At first, I was like, "Oh no, he's just making up his own stuff." And then I realized okay. I never did that actually with mine. I always just kept them their own separate.
I don't think I ever realized you could combine them.
I always built the combiner models or alternate models as they were later on, at least once. But then I would, rebuild them back as the normal sets.
I just think the normal sets looked cooler than they look good in the on movies and TV and stuff, but they never translated in real life very well, in my opinion.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the idea is like while they do end up using a lot of those combiner models in the story, they're basically there just to show kids, hey, you can combine these in interesting ways. So it's kind of like a way to start with customizing your stuff. Just to get the creative juices flowing, so to speak.
Here's a comment for you. The Mystica had egregious amounts of silver.
Yes, they did. Also, they were terrible. They just looked terrible. Especially the Toa Mystica were terrible. Oh, at least the Toa Fantoka kind of looked like their old selves, but then you get the Toa Mystica and they look nothing like their original selves. Because basically all these.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, they're the same.
When did these come out?
2001, 2003. That was 2008, if memory serves.
Really?
Yeah, 2008. Because then 2009 was the Glatorian, and then 2010 was the Bionicle Stars. So.
Clearly, I was not buying these when these came out.
Yeah, this is.
Those are fan creations, actually.
Oh, are they?
Those ones actually
look good, but I don't remember them. I'm just saying. Clearly, I wasn't buying. Okay, so these didn't actually come out. Okay.
Yeah. No, like
where are the ones that actually came out?
Scroll all the way back up.
Is it this one?
Oh yeah, so there's the Mystica line. So you had three, like that year you had two core lines. You had the Fantoka line and the Mystica line. And each line came with 3 Toa and 3 Makuta.
Okay.
So the blue one there, that's Golly. Looks nothing like her, and
no,
egregious
I'm
amount
not
of
even
silver.
sure I would recognize these as Bionicle figures.
There's Tahu. Again, looks nothing like himself. And
I don't even like these depictions.
And then there's Anu. I don't even. His mask looks like the Makuta mask from 2003. That's the weirdest part too. He's an evil character all of a sudden. What? No. Now go look up Bionicle Fantoka.
Fantoka, okay.
Yeah. Fantoka like Phantom, incidentally.
Yeah, with a Bionicle Fantoka.
Yep, there you go. And in this case, at least the Toa kind of look like their old selves, if nothing else. Like, click on the green one, you can see. Oh, those are the Matoran sets specifically.
Oh yeah, they are. But I think they've got all. Of them here.
Yep, there you go. So then you got Pohatu, Liwa, and Kopaka, and
these actually look pretty good.
They look, they actually kind of look like their original Toa selves, and they're not egregiously silver, as Buzzsaw put it. But then
I quite like this. So let me ask you this then: do you think that the designs from other shows have greatly taken from what Bionicle did, like shows, movies, other multimedia? Because I'm seeing this right here. He's saying the prototype Lua Fantoka mask looked like the Master Chief's Mark VI helmet.
It might have been, but then it would have been the other way around because these were 2008.
That's a good point. Yeah, they would have been grabbing from Halo then.
Yeah.
So it would not have been the same. Would not have been this. Yeah, okay. So I'm backwards, but I still think that these probably were used in, especially the new Transformers movies. I have to imagine they borrowed some stuff from other shows to create the new Transformers. I don't know, but
honestly, I don't know either.
I was into these, and I was also in not these specifically, but Bionicle. Yeah. I was into Bionicle, and I was also into Beast Wars, both of which.
Oh my God! Don't get me started on Beast Wars.
I love Beast
Wars. So
good. Maybe we'll have another chat about Beast Wars now that I know two people that would love to have a Beast Wars chat now.
I'd definitely be there for that.
I don't know if you know Adam Korlick, but I'm sure he would jump on that.
The name sounds familiar, but I can't place a face.
Anyway, as far as Bionicle goes, though, at what point do you think you lost? Have you ever lost interest in Bionicle, or did you get burned out at any point from just Lego kind of Titanicing their own franchise?
Never completely. Like the lore, if nothing else.
Wait, what?
Highlight that last comment. Sorry to cut you off.
Transformers from a bad automobile accident. I actually remember I came across years ago when I was in college. I came across a YouTube channel that it was about basically how to make concept art. It was by a dude who worked at the Singapore art school, but I guess he had actually, that school had been tapped for some of the Transformers designs. So it was just interesting thing that I remember. But no, shoot, what were we talking about before the comment?
Whether you had ever been burned out from Bionicle.
Right. Yeah. So never on the lore. I was dedicated to that lore from start to finish. Well, not to finish because it never finished. It actually never finished, unfortunately. But until it stopped. The sets, though, I got burned out on them by, like I said, I think it was probably 2007. Yeah, it would have been 2007.
Really have so many things. You know what I mean?
It wasn't even that. It was simply because, like I said, they stopped looking at gear functions and started focusing entirely on posability. Plus, as you saw, especially with the Mystica, the look just wasn't holding up after a while. It was getting kind of
That rolls me right into my question, though. Is that one of the reasons you like the variation in the Master Chief's armor is because of the functionality over necessarily looking cool and posability? Like they actually take thoughts into how they do that, how they make the armor work.
Yeah, that is actually a big reason I've enjoyed, particularly the Halo 4 Master Chief. The Halo 5 one, they kind of simplified a lot of that stuff, and it just didn't work as well for me. But in general, yeah, like that was.
So would you say that these interests of yours do intersect in some ways, like especially in the way
of, absolutely.
Okay.
Like I said, Bionicle I'd always been interested in following stories and whatnot, but Bionicle really ignited this interest in like the deep lore of a franchise. So by the time I got into Halo, that was
you were ready to be fully invested.
Yes, basically.
And the next question I have for you is, how much of the physical Bionicle collection of yours has survived all of your the time that you've had it? Like, is everything still in one piece, or have you lost some of your pieces of your Bionicle collection over the years?
To my knowledge, I do have everything up through 2005 packed away, and it should all be intact once I get to pull it out. As I made sure that everything was sealed and properly packaged away, and I'm always super careful with my stuff. So it should all be there. Yeah, it should all be there. The only time I ever had issue was, and it wasn't just restricted to me. Basically, there was these lime green Lego pieces that were infamously brittle. And yeah, one of my figures, I think it was one of the figures from 2007. It was one of the female Toa, and it was the female Hali Toa from 2007. That they had these lime green pieces, and one day, I think I had actually pulled it out to show to one of my little cousins, because I actually ended up giving away or selling pretty much anything after 2005 when they stopped with the gear function. I was just like, whatever. But I pulled this thing out, and the pieces just broke. Yeah, it doesn't matter if you have it sealed. The lime green pieces will disintegrate. That's very true.
I'm so thankful that Buzzsaw is here to just keep us laughing.
Yeah. Yes. So that was my first experience with that. And then I went online and found, this, for whatever reason, this particular style of piece is just crap.
It's got something to do with the dye then. I imagine the dye.
Maybe it might have been, who knows? I think I'd looked it up at one point.
It's so weird that would be the only one that would be that brittle.
Yeah.
I guess the next question I have for you is, what in your mind is the legacy of Bionicle, and would Lego ever venture back to it, do you think?
I certainly hope they will, though. After the G2 debacle, it's hard to say if they will. Like, maybe eventually down the line, because it's still, that's one thing I will give Lego credit for. They know when to cancel something before it gets into too bad of a situation. Like, they originally canceled it in 2010 when it was still somewhat popular, essentially so they'd be able to bring it back at some point. They didn't want primarily the toy stores to have this memory of Bionicle not selling well at some point. So it's like, okay, we'll cancel it now. Maybe sometime down the line we can bring it back, and the toy stores and fans won't be too burned on that. But as for its legacy, I think at least within Lego, it definitely pushed them to create all these different original lines and kind of push them creatively. I mean, Hero Factory is the most direct legacy of Bionicle, and it was canceled in its own right. But even stuff like Ninjago, that's still going strong. You can attribute that to Bionicle's own success to some degree, at least.
And I don't think anything Lego's ever produced has been as successful as Bionicle.
Maybe Ninjago.
In independent intellectual property wise, right? Like, Ninjago's been pretty popular, and the Lego movie's been pretty popular, and like some of their offshoots of that. But I don't know. I've never got into Ninjago, I guess. Maybe for me, Bionicle is the pinnacle for Lego.
Yeah. Like, for me, Bionicle absolutely is the pinnacle. But there are definitely other things that have gone on to be as popular, if not more popular, than Bionicle was. But I'd still say you can attribute that to that initial success that Bionicle had, and basically paving the way for all these things that came later, whether they 100%. Were successful or not.
And I would have to say, in regards to Bionicle, I think the best time to probably launch another Bionicle campaign is when all of us our age and above are having children for nostalgia purposes.
Yeah. They definitely tried to do that in 2015, but I don't know. Like, give it like another decade, maybe. Yeah, just a bit. Early. Plus, Lego, if you do it again, market that thing for this time.
Yes. You
I
guys
had
remember
no
about it?
idea that it was that a G2 was happening until I saw a random tweet about it, if I recall correctly. And then, like, yeah, I never saw any commercials. I know they existed because I went out of my way to find them, but I had to go out of my way. I didn't just see them pop up on YouTube or anything. And it took them a whole year to get the TV show put together. Whereas, like, Hero Factory, I think had, and this was way back in 2011. They had a TV show.
They were done with Gen 1, right?
Yeah, yeah, Hero Factory came directly after and actually reused a lot of those pieces initially before it founded, I think it's called the CCBM system that is pretty popular these days. But anyway, don't ask me what that stands for because I don't remember. But like they had a TV show for Hero Factory really darn quick. And obviously Ninjago has its own show too. So I don't know, especially by 2015 when Bionicle relaunched, I don't know what happened. I think they had some good ideas. It just wasn't executed.
And then as far as re-executing again, would you want them to finish the story they started, or would you rather they have a reboot if they do bring it back at some point?
In an ideal world, both. If they wanted to bring it back as proper sets, though, I don't think it would be a good idea just from a business standpoint to try and continue either generation, but especially G1, as that one was so lore dense. It had all these specialized terms and whatnot. So trying to finish, I'd love if they could actually finish that story someday, because they basically left us on a cliffhanger when we were about to meet one of the most powerful beings in the universe, and then nothing. Sucked.
It'd be like if Halo ended at Halo 2 with Master Chief going, finishing this fight, and then you never get Halo 3.
More like if Halo ended in the middle of Halo 3.
Even worse.
Like you have like maybe like right at the end of the level, the Covenant, you have the tentacles reaching up and ha ha ha, I'm back now, and then that's it. Cut, game over. Nothing else.
Well, the most powerful enemy was Prophets. So
yeah, or something. Yeah. So it's like that's essentially how Bionicle ended. And I'm glad for what we did end up getting, because like the story was going on for a year or two after the sets had stopped, because Lego gave the permissions like, hey, yeah, go ahead and finish the story. But then something happened and they didn't finish the story. But yeah, that
would have been great if they would have actually been able to finish. I think I'm imagining some fans have put together some fan fiction to finish the story, but overall, maybe officially it's not been finished.
Yeah, but if they wanted to bring it back, it should definitely be a new thing. There was actually, like, at best, though, or something they could do, because there was this big theory when G2 came about that the Toa from that line were actually the same Toa from the original G1, but they'd been like teleported to a new universe. There was all this kind of circumstantial evidence to support the theory. And it's like, hey, if you want to do something like that, where the Toa post crisis from the G1 line are now timeline jumping all over the place, I'm cool with that. Cool little bit of background lore for for the old crowd, but they definitely want to start over with familiar names and terms, but then tell a new story.
Not Web of Shadows.
Yeah, not Web of Shadows. Anything but Web of Shadows.
Yes. Web of Confusion.
What
Web of, I hope this doesn't awaken anything in me because of sexy Rudaka.
Do we want to talk about that, or do we want to leave that alone?
I leave that up to you. I'm happy to talk about it if you want to, but I'm also happy to leave it alone.
I'm intrigued.
There's a subreddit that Ian brought up to me before we started the show that I was like, what in the world is this? I'm not going to pull up pictures unless you think it's a good idea.
If you want to look up Rudaka.
Okay. I will do that.
I don't remember how to spell her. I think it's, R-O-O-D-A-K. Yeah. So the set itself is designed in just look at that design. She's got high heels. She's got two Roxy chest plates.
Oh, whoa. Let's get rid of that. Let me get the picture going. There we go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And these days there is a subreddit called Sexy Bionicle, which the entire point is the core point is to basically create mocks, my own creations of sexualized Bionicle figures.
Yeah, it's pretty much at this point.
Rudaka here, and then you get to the movie version of her, and they took this weird direction and just dialed it up to 11.
Oh no, I got to see this now.
Yeah.
Let me see. Movie Bionicle Rudaka. That should get me there. Images. Wait, is this
she's
it?
Like, yeah, she's like that's a good fan interpretation of it, but she's basically a dominatrix in that movie. And that next to her, that's Sidorak, the other like main villain from that time. He's basically a simp for her. His entire plot line is he wants to marry her, so like for some whole political thing. But in the movie, he's simping for her so hard, it's hilarious.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Oh, that's some great fan art there. Holy crap.
Oh my gosh, I totally missed that being there. I did not see it.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So,
but I've learned this. If the internet exists, then things that people are interested in will exist. No matter what. Even
people sexualize everything. So
yeah, but Lego certainly did not. They certainly laid the groundwork there. This is Bionicle's own girl Link, basically.
That is hilarious. That is awesome and hilarious at the same time. All right. Well, yeah, they definitely laid the groundwork with this one. I agree. Yeah. By specifically putting parts in the specific places that would lead to that.
Yeah.
And they're wondering, like, why is this the most popular figure?
It's literally got high heels and long flowing hair.
The 13 to 17-year-olds love this one.
Wonder why?
No idea. We'll make more of them. That way we can sell more of them.
I'd like to think somebody at Lego was just made this, like proposed this to see if they could actually do it, just to like screw with the company, and then it's like, yeah, we'll sell this. What?
Oh, no, I never meant this to go this far.
You were supposed to say no.
I do remember because this one had for as far as the figure went, it had the spinners that could shoot off of it, correct? I remember that being pretty cool. It wasn't the only one that did it, but
yeah, pretty much every set that year had that. The main the Toa for that year, the Toa Hortica as they were called, they had launchers on their backs. Yeah, and then
I remember that now. My nephews had those
on their back. Yeah.
My nephew had those, so like he really liked these sets with the launchers on the back.
Yeah, that was pretty popular for like I think that was right around the craze for like those kinds of launchers, or like a renewed interest in them that Lego super capitalized on.
There you go.
Simperak, yeah, I've seen that name more than a couple times.
All right, so we are in overtime. Is there anything else that you'd like to bring up about the Bionicles before we close out the show?
Dude, the extended universe, like what would be the equivalent of the extended universe stuff? Basically, these web serials, they got really damn dark at times. Like there, all this political intrigue and betrayal at times, dimension hopping. Like as complicated as the story was, early on, it just got crazier and crazier as time went on, in both the best ways and the worst.
It seems like shows even starting out with a simplistic approch will eventually get so far off of that into, like you said, deep things like political intrigue, more morbid topics and whatnot. Just because as the audience grows, they expand the ideas in the universe of what they've created.
It's just a natural progression.
Exactly. It seems like it. Yeah. Because I mean, when you look at Bionicle or Halo CE, there's not a whole lot going on in the very first thing that came out.
Yep.
But as the series get longer in the tooth, or as the writers get more ambitious, or as the
audience keep raising the stakes.
Exactly. So you eventually get there, and I think Bionicle is a great example of just lore that goes way beyond anything that was probably intended when they first came out.
Oh yeah. That's one thing that's really interesting about Bionicle is they knew, like at the very least, they knew what the core story was from day one. They knew that there was going to be a giant robot that was actually the great spirit that all these beings worshipped, and he had crash landed on this water world essentially, and he was eventually going to go back to the main world to fix it and stuff. like they had all that core story from day one, and it's amazing. Obviously, things would have changed over time, but still.
Yeah, it would be a hard pitch nowadays to say like, hey, I want to sell this thing that's got all of these. Like it feels like the Avatar pitch, like when the Avatar came to Nickelodeon, and they're like, "Hey, we got all these things that we want to do," and like they literally explained the whole story. And like Nickelodeon, I'm imagining the execs when they heard this, they're like,
"Oh yeah,
what?
We'll give you.
What do you want to do?
See how it goes."
And imagine all of. In fact, it would be really cool to be in Lego's boardroom when Bionicle was pitched. Can you imagine like? We want to make Lego. Well, I guess that wouldn't be that hard of a pitch. We want to make Lego action figures. Okay.
Yeah.
Probably not that hard of a pitch.
Yeah. At that time, they had already gone through a couple others, but so it might have been something of a hard pitch just because, hey, these last two lines failed. Why should we give it a third try?
That's a good point. Although maybe they already had some of the marketing, like some of the commercials that they were working on. Maybe they had some of the prototypes of the commercials, and they were like, hey, this is the idea. And like, they're pretty flashy. I'm going to show one real quick before we call it a podcast. I want to make sure everybody can see. I'm not going to get copyright hit for that. Do you think? Am I?
No, you shouldn't.
Okay. Just put up the. I think. Did Kopaka Gen 1 have his own commercial? I can't remember.
Yes, he did. All the Toa each had their own one, and his is definitely one of the coolest ones.
I remember that was the whole reason I wanted him in the first place was because I saw him in a commercial. I just didn't know if it was his commercial or not. I could not remember.
Yeah.
All right, this is Gali, so this is not him, but this will give.
Oh, this is all. So they have all this. This is a video with all of them. So, they were all really cool. It's like just this casual introduction of the Toa. You don't really have any context for what's going on. Just showing them. Yeah. Just showing them in their own environments.
And this is like early 2000 CGI. This is incredible.
Yeah.
For being that early on.
Ghost does really good work.
So when I saw these commercials, I was hooked immediately. Yeah. This is probably where I saw them first. I bet Lego Magazine was the second place I saw them. Because these commercials were airing all over every child, or not child, but young adult, children, every network that could advertise to people that were not quite 18 yet.
Here we go. Here's Kopaka. What could it be?
I don't know. I remember the feeling very Star Warsy with this one because I felt like Hoth.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, this is what hooked me on Kopaka. I guarantee you, after I saw this commercial, that I was like, "He's the guy. That's what I want, Mom. Go get him."
Stops it in place.
So cool.
One thing that's really cool too. It's like a blink and you miss a thing. His sword actually like expands when he activates his power. It's like take it. It's just like little detail on the toys that I guess somebody in the animation team said, "Hey, let's actually use that for something," and they did it there. Like, there's no lore behind that. That's just something they did for the commercial. I also love this too. A lot of them are like putting on the masks for the first time. And then
did they ever
have some fun.
Was there ever a Bionicle board game?
Yes, there was. At least a few, I think, actually, or at least there might have been a couple. But I remember there was one very early on that I was very sad I missed out on. Yeah,
I remember that.
The Bionicle Adventure game was the one I was mainly disappointed about. But yeah, they also had Mask of Light.
Bionicle Quest from Akuda.
Yeah.
Bionicle the Quest game. That seems like
that would have been
title.
Yeah, that would have been 2005 when they were on. No, 2006. Sorry, when they were on Voya Nui.
Okay.
Which was the main island for that year.
Yep. It's so amazing. Like looking back, how much Bionicle did.
Yep.
Versus other Lego franchises at the time, and it's just I don't know. I look back and I'm like, man, we lived in like the best era of Lego.
We did. It was really damn good.
So, any last thoughts from you, Ian?
Oh. Go support the Biomedia Project. Let's end with that.
That's a good place to end it. We'll go to the Biomedia Project. I'm glad I'm going to be checking into this more. I wish you would have told me about this before we did the show, because I would have gladly gone back and had.
Yeah, I didn't even think about it until we started talking about this.
That's awesome. Yeah, shout out to the Biomedia Project. I'm going to link them in the description of this video later.
Oh, music, today. Man. Bionicle had like some really good music too, like original music that they did.
Yeah, honestly,
especially like the first couple years.
Music can make or break a franchise, and they had good stuff.
They had some really good stuff.
Any last thoughts for you, Will, other than shouting out the Biomedia Project?
No, I wish I was more into this at the time. I didn't even realize that there was a lore until much, much later. So it's just disappointing. Not to have been caught up in the hype at the time.
Yeah. But my closing thought is Kopaka forever. So there's that. He was always my favorite. So
Kopaka's really cool. He's one of the focuses of the early comics, and his chemistry essentially with the brown one, Pohatu, is just amazing. There's actually some really good fan animations on YouTube featuring Kopaka and Pohatu. That are it perfectly captures their dynamic, because Pohatu is like the happy-go-lucky, let's hang out. Kopaka is just go away the entire time.
Yeah, I always felt for Kopaka and his.
I just want to be left alone.
Anyway, thank you for coming on and talking about.
Yes, thank you.
It's been my absolute pleasure.
You are far more versed on it than I am, but I gladly appreciate talking about anything nostalgia purposes, especially in regards to Bionicle, because I grew up on this stuff and I loved it. So, as always, I am Chris.
And I'm Will.
And I was Halo Canon.
Still Halo Canon.
Yeah.
The channel's not going away, is it? Just reveal that on this.
You heard it here first, folks.
He's like, after this podcast, shut it down. Well, while it's still around, please make sure to subscribe to Halo Canon, especially if you love Halo. I know he's kind of in a race with Installation 00 to 200K, or maybe they're not really in a race. I don't know, but Installation 00.
I don't want to let another Halo YouTube channel surpass me if I can avoid it.
There you go. All right, you heard it here first.
Already got me. I'm not letting another one go without a fight.
Head to head.
Yeah.
No. Well, seriously, go subscribe. Great channel to learn about the lore of Halo, and maybe soon to be Bionicle. No, I'm just kidding. He's probably not going to do a Bionicle channel. There'll be a lot of
now
extra
that I'm
work.
Full-time YouTube, I do want to branch out into other things.
Cool.
I just replayed the entire Mass Effect trilogy because I want to talk about that soon.
That is such a great trilogy. So,
like I said, I think I don't remember if it was before the podcast started or after, but I downloaded Bionicle the game. I'd love to stream that sometime. Just got to find the right time to do it.
Do you have a Twitch channel?
I do. I don't use it at all.
That might be a good place to start with that then. If you want to stream stuff like, hey guys, I'm on Twitch. If you want to come check it out.
Yeah, maybe.
But yeah, I would love to hear what you think about Mass Effect, because that's one of my favorite trilogies in all of gaming.
Yeah. Well, stay tuned. Maybe before the end of the year, I'll have something.
That'd be cool. Yeah.
Have a huge
Shepard Canon. No. Since I think Shepard's coming back, we'll see. Anyways, this has gone to be a long outro, but seriously, subscribe to Halo Canon. Seriously, I mean it. I'm pointing the wrong way. Subscribe to Halo Canon if you want to know about Halo. And I've already said, as always, I'm Chris. So we will see you
on the next CHRILLCAST. Bye, guys.
See ya.